Good day. Hello again. Jim Evans of Honest Jim's Wandering Shop. Welcome to Introduction to Pirates Part 2. So in Part 1 I focused on sailors and what a sailor is dressed like, how they learn their trade, and generally some information about sailors' lives. In Part 2 I want to talk about how you go from being a common sailor to turning pirate. So first thing I'd like to talk about is ship masters and ship's captains. So the master or captain of a vessel, they have a very free hand when it comes to what sort of punishments can be meted out to their crew. And effectively they have almost power of life and death. They don't quite. So they can mete out, for example, floggings. So you may have heard of cat and nine tails. So a cat and nine tails will be a whip made from rope. So you take a length of rope, rather longer than this length, but you'd uncoil it and make it into 9 strands. Now when I say you would do this, it'd actually be the person that's going to be punished would actually make their own whip. So they'd make the whip in the time before they're punished, and then the whip will be used to obviously lash at them. And it could be hundreds of lashes that they were inflicted. Beatings with fists, even beatings with sticks and staves, these were all fairly common punishments aboard ship. And the one thing a captain couldn't do is actually kill a crewman. If they'd committed a crime for which the punishment would be death, they'd have to be taken ashore and handed over to the authorities to actually decide their guilt and mete out the punishment. But the captain themselves still has a lot of control, and an overly harsh, nasty piece of work of a captain could be something that would cause a crew to rise up and mutiny and take over the ship. Now, at that point, if you've committed a mutiny, you have effectively stolen the ship. You've already committed a crime that would actually be defined as piracy. Piracy is theft at sea. So mutineering, at that point, you are already going to be classed as a pirate anyway, so you may as well continue on your piratical career. Some captains, and this was far less common, themselves actually turned to their crew and suggested they turn pirates, or the crew turned to the captain and said, I think we should turn pirate, and the captain agreed. And far less commonly, the rarest I would say, are the captains who actually did purchase their own ships. But that was a very, very unusual thing. So, if we go with the first example, the most common situation, so the crew have mutineered, they've taken over the ship. Have all the crew gone along with this? That's possible, but not necessarily 100% likely in all cases. So some of the crew may be unhappy about this, may have been forced to go along with it. Chances are that the rest of the crew would force them to still go about their duties helping on board ship, because they need the people, they need the hands, literally. The captain themselves, though, you don't really want the captain hanging around, so in most cases what they'll do is they'll hand the captain over to the next vessel they capture and leave them on board. However, as well as taking any plunder from the next ship they capture, they will also likely take most of the crew. So firstly, they're going to ask for volunteers. Who wants to come and join us? We're all going to get rich. That is a simple line they're feeding. And that can be backed up with and if you don't volunteer, you're going to come anyway because we need people on board our ship, and so we're going to force you to join us, and you won't get any of the plunder, and of course we're not going to give you any weapons, and we're probably going to give you the bulk of the hard work to do as well. So that's another way of you ending up being a pirate, being forced or coerced, or in some cases simply volunteering to join the crew. There are some factors also which may have encouraged you along the way. One thing to bear in mind is that fighting pirates is generally a bad idea. If you're a merchant ship, most pirate crews are going to be larger than you. So a merchant ship of 8 to 15 people, a pirate ship by comparison of similar sizes may have a crew of 80 to close to 200 or more on board. So they vastly outnumber you in terms of people. They will almost certainly be adding more guns to the ship. And by guns, we're talking about cannons of various sizes and other armaments. So they're going to be able to outfight you. Now, even if they're early in their careers, you won't necessarily know that they don't have a large number of crew yet, and so you're probably going to look at wanting to surrender. Because when they fly that pirate flag, what they're telling you firstly is that we're after your cargo. So we're not, let's assume we're at war with France, we're not a French ship where we're going to take the ship and its cargo and you, and you're going to end up in a French prison for God knows how many years. But instead, we're really after that cargo, and that's our main motivation in capturing a ship. So it's not worth getting yourselves killed over. So don't fire at us, because then you've got angry pirates to fight. So that's the message that you're giving there out when you fly that flag. As well as that, they can probably outsail you. Larger pirate crew, that means that you can move the ropes more quickly, you can get the sails into place, and therefore you can outsail them, and therefore you're going to be able to catch up to them. So whereas a merchant ship may try to sail away from the pirates, that's generally accepted as, well, that's what everyone's going to try and do. But actually putting a fight up, that's where you're going to end up with some angry pirates, and you're probably going to end up with some serious casualties. So when you realise that that ship's going to capture you, so there's nothing you're going to do to be able to outsail it, what happens next? Well, quite often the sailors on board will go, well, we know the pirates are going to do, as soon as they come on board, break open the liquor store and start drinking. So we may as well drink some of that liquor ourselves before the pirates spoil it all. So when the pirates come on board, quite often, a considerable number of the crew are already drunk. This makes it more likely that they're going to volunteer to join when they're asked. And in fact, we have lots of evidence for this. Interviews of pirates in prison before being hung. A very common theme is, well, yeah, I regret everything, and it was alcohol. It was because I was drunk. Not only drunk when I joined the crew, but quite often they claimed that they were drunk for their entire piratical career. Now, bear in mind, practical career, we're not talking decades here, we're not talking even years in most cases. In most cases, we're talking weeks or months. And so the idea that these people actually never sobered up is quite plausible. And this helps explain their behaviour during this time. So, as I say, pirates, you've got volunteers and you've got those that are forced. How many were forced? Well, research indicates that, in fact, it could be as many as 2/3 of the crew were forced. So these people, they probably wouldn't be able to get any weapons, because you're not going to arm people who don't want to be there. They probably wouldn't have a vote. So whenever you discuss things, have a vote on things, deciding who's going to be in charge, these people will probably not actually have a vote. And what we don't know really is what happens if somebody's forced and then starts later on helping out and becoming an active member of the crew. The only one we know of that comes to mind would be Bartholomew Roberts, who didn't want to join the pirates, was forced because he was well known to be a good and able seaman and was a likeable person. And so they forced to join the crew. However, within a couple of days, the captain at the time actually died, Hal Davies. He got shot and subsequently died. So the crew got together, those that had a vote, to discuss who's going to be the new captain. At some point, somebody said, oh, what about him? He's a good sort. We like him. He knows what he's doing. He'll make a great captain. And according to records, he stood up and said, well, better to be a leader amongst thieves. And he accepted being captain. What we don't know is what about lesser members of crew who may have been forced? What about if they, after a few days, actually started helping out more and then moved on to becoming full members of the crew? We don't know whether that actually happened, but it seems likely. What we do know is that a common thing is having a book where they logged who's joined the crew and whether they were forced or whether they volunteered. You might think it's a strange thing for pirates to record, but firstly, if they're forced, they're not going to get a share. But if they volunteered, they should get a share. So you need that record to say who was joined and when, so you can work out how you're going to divide up the loot later on. Good thing for forced pirates is if your ship gets captured subsequently, you've got a defence there. If that book survives, and it quite often does, then that can be used in court, and you can say, well, I didn't actually want to be there, I was forced. There are some people who one can assume would generally be forced. In particular, the cooper, who keeps the barrels in good order, and the carpenter. Both of these people are key to keeping the crew alive. And in fact, both of these people are in the same career. They are both training to be shipwrights later on. People that make and oversee the building of ships on land. As part of their career, they are required to spend a minimum period of time at sea. These people, once they've completed that, will go on to become shipwrights and become very rich and very well-to-do. They do not want to become pirates. It's very, very unlikely you'd find a willing volunteer from this particular group of people. But without them, your ship will sink and your water will become undrinkable very rapidly. And so you need these people on board your ship. So they would almost certainly be forced to join. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. Next time we're going to be focusing on pirate tactics, ship improvements, and weapons of pirates. Thank you.